What's up, y'all? Welcome to the 425. I am at Coach Torres _ on Twitter. He is at Coach Miller 06 on Twitter. Jeremy, it is the game. It is rivalry weekend. I'm telling y'all right now, put the kids to bed. We got another put the kids to bed episode. Let it loose, man. What you feel about the game? Before we get into Illinois, just give me some Ohio State hate or something. Let's get it going.
It's the team I hate the most out of pretty much every team in college football. Um, I mean, I would hate Oklahoma more if Texas didn't have as much success against them but Ohio State has really had Michigan's number for most of my lifetime. Two wins in the last 20 years. It's been 22 years at least since we've won in Columbus. Their fans are dickheads. Even when they came to Austin, they were fucking dickheads.
Yeah.
Literally walking. This is how bad Ohio State fans are. They're walking from where they park their cars to walk to DKR. The road is not closed down. They literally are walking through downtown Austin on a street that is not um, closed off and just not giving a fuck and just walking in the middle of the street with cars trying to get through, stampede of red, head into DKR. That's what type of people they are. Me and you and a bunch of the guys are going to have to go to Columbus at some point, but I'm really not looking forward to it because I know with our group of people, we're most likely getting in a fight. I mean, it's going to happen.
It's not.
Anytime something, I want to go to that stadium, but I only want to go to that stadium for this game, and I can't imagine going to that stadium for this game because it's just I'm gonna have my eyes on the back of my head, constantly looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Um,
You
uh,
at the very you're lucky if you walking out of there with like just a stain.
yeah,
If you got some stains on you. They definitely this came up in the group chat that we referenced a couple weeks ago when someone said like Matt, close your ears, but good luck to Frankenmuth and Millington football in the playoffs today. And I'm just like, no, none of that. He's it's like who tops your hate list? Like, do you hate those teams more than you hated more? Did you hate those teams more than you hate, Michigan State or Ohio State? And it's like, no, Ohio State sits firmly atop the hate rankings. And it just comes down to Michigan versus Ohio. Ohio is a cesspool. It's hilarious when you see on Twitter other people talking about like Ohio doesn't exist or like in their map like Ohio's not a real place. Like it's not anywhere you want to go. Um it's disgusting. And they're
yeah.
disgusting.
I don't know who on Michigan Twitter that I follow that posted this, but there was like an Ohio fan talking trash about the state of Michigan, and they had like the state of Michigan with the UP attached and the lakes around it, and they were listing
Mm-hmm.
like all the things that's wrong with Michigan. And somebody just like quote tweeted it and put a picture of like some country, like real like country road with just nothing but farm, flat land, looking disgusting. And he was like, this is all of Ohio. This is what the state of Ohio looks like. And he's not
Two-lane
wrong.
highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two-lane highway. Columbus is gross. Just driving through Columbus, it's just concrete. Everything is just concrete, and the shoe is just one giant piece of concrete. And what do they call it? The Woody or whatever. Their athletic complex, like their practice field, looks like a basement. Like if to anybody that's ever been to the auxiliary arenas at I don't even know what to call it. It's had 30 different names. But the arena in Flint, Pirani Arena, what was it? Cody, what was the name of it? IMG Ice Arena or whatever. Like if you've been in the back rooms there where they do like other things, that's what it looks like, man. It's this big slabs of concrete, looks like you're underground. It's not appeasing, it's not appealing, it's gross. But We'll come back to them in a minute, man. Michigan struggled with Illinois pretty mightily on Saturday, down multiple starters in key positions, and the offense has regressed.
Yeah, not I wouldn't say the running game has regressed so much, but the passing game has looked worse and worse. From probably mid-season on, it just hasn't clicked. The best it's probably looked was the Michigan State game. Um, since the second half of the season started, and it's really I know we put so much emphasis on running the ball, and I love it, and I know it takes a lot of our practice time, but it's really become something that I'm worried about. I mean, we
It's be-
can't we can't we're we're not going to win the next two games the way we're playing, and I apologize for the hiccups, but that's how sick our passing game makes me feel. It's just it was so bad against Illinois, and it's just like we're not even scheming up easy throws. Like, why does Roman Wilson have one catch? And that one catch was one of maybe two targets that he got all game. Like, why is Roman Wilson, one of our best receivers, only getting two targets in a game? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Isaiah Gash got more receiving targets than Roman Wilson. Like, let that sink in. I'm going to repeat it again. Isaiah Gash, former walk on, had more receiving targets than Roman Wilson did.
yeah, it's your fifth string running back versus your starting slot receiver. And Roman did have a drop on a bad ball that JJ threw behind him, whereas if JJ throws that in front of him, Roman's probably walking into the end zone. But your point's made. It's I I have zero qualms about the identity and the run game and the run scheme. And to anybody who says it's boring or bland, like you just to a fan, sure, you don't know what you're watching, but the run game diversity that Michigan brings week in and week out, and is
Is
capable of bringing in
beautiful.
week in and week
Mwah,
out.
chef's
There's no one.
kiss.
The only teams in the country that can match it are the service academies, and even then, not really. Like Devere, it's only a couple plays. It's just dressed a million different ways. So it's incredible. But as we found out Saturday, it's it's to the point where it's indefensible when it comes to the passing scheme and how it has pulled from the passing scheme. Last year we were a better team in the air.
Yeah,
Statistically, stylistically, just watching. We were much better in the air last year. And we've never
we
been
had
a heavy play action team under Harbaugh. And that's always kind of been a lament of the fan and the football Twitter, like play action pass would solve a lot of these passing issues. And Jim just really doesn't do it a lot for someone who likes to run the ball as much as he does. Um, and it's
and
just
even RPO, even running more RPOs as we saw a lot more last season and really more under Josh Gaddy's as a whole. Even some of those easy RPO throws where you're threatening the threat of pass on these running plays would lighten the box, and you would hit some easy throws and let your explosive receivers make some plays. We saw it some against Michigan State. We saw it a few times earlier this season in different variations of the game. It's it's not, and we've just come to the term. Maybe we just need to come to terms of reality that JJ's not there in his point of development, that we can't lean on the passing game as much as we would like to, and that may be frustrating, but at the same time, it's looking more and more like that's the reality. And I mean, we have to remember that he's a first year starter. He's a true sophomore because he played in every game last year. I mean, for a guy that these are the most meaningful snaps he's had of his early in his career. I mean, maybe we're just not at a point where we can lean on him in the passing game. for any stretch of a game, which can be frustrating for casual fans.
Yeah, it's disappointing. And it's kind of twofold with him because he's making some throws that aren't great, and then he's also missing some throws where he's not seeing it either.
Yeah,
Half of I would say damn near half of his incompletions where a guy either drops a contested ball or he throws a bad ball where he's trying to force something. Upon further review, there's somebody open on the other side of the field. So
or
I
not
was
even on the
thinking,
side of the field. It's like the end of the game in the fourth quarter against Illinois on the where we had to settle for a field goal and hope we got the ball back for our from our defense. Uh, I mean, the broadcast mentioned it. He had Colston Loveland on the flag route wide open, but he chose to do what he's probably taught to do, which is
what he's taught to do. Yeah,
check down to the open receiver. And Gash unfortunately dropped it, but Loveland was open at the back of the end zone for a touchdown on the flag route, and we just didn't hit it. And then there was a point. Was it I don't was it on the same drive or the drive after where we tried to run the mesh route to Loveland again, but he overthrew because the linebacker like hesitated and stayed there longer than he did on the previous Loveland drag route. I
yeah.
think it was the same drive,
I think it was
but
the next drive. I think it was our
yeah,
last
the
drive.
following drive, yeah,
On that same drive where we went down to come within a field goal was when we connected to Loveland, and he looked like Eric All turning up the sideline.
on Penn State, yeah.
Yeah, so Loveland's a problem going forward, man. He's going to be a dude. He already kind of is. JJ obviously has some trust in him a little bit. They just, man, they haven't looked in sync all year. It doesn't look like the receiver and quarterbacks have very much chemistry.
No, and I
And
mean that Andro Anthony drop on that freebie play was
yeah,
or what should have been a freebie play
what should have
I
been.
mean I
Also
mean
should have been also should have been a touchdown that makes that a completely different ball game.
and I mean Andro Anthony makes that catch with his eyes closed last year, like with ease. That's the type of ball that we saw regularly him come down with the season prior, and whether it's a sophomore slump or he just can't get in a rhythm because of all the receiver substitutions we do, it's a mystery. But I mean, if the passing game's going to show up, it's got to show up this week. Like it has to. Like if we want to accomplish our goals.
Yeah, it's not where you want to be. It doesn't leave you very inspired heading into Ohio State week, just because, like you said, when you run, and we've mentioned this before, talking about the complementary style of football that Michigan does. You have to be able to scheme guys open. You have to be able to connect on your third and fourth throws and your third and sixth throws in order to be able to run the ball the way that you want to. And right now, we have tight end drags, and that's it. That's the only thing we can hang our hat on as a passing offense. Now that changes a little bit with Donovan Edwards in the lineup. Obviously, changes a lot when you have him and Blake, and also AJ Henning, who we like to throw in motion and put in the backfield now and then, and do some different things with. So again, we were limited. Schoon was out. Keegan was out, even though Al-Hadi's basically been a starter all year. There's a lot of things that were not obviously, we haven't mentioned it yet, but Blake Corum goes down right before halftime with a knee injury, and you're without your top 3 or 4 weapons, your go-to guys, and you're already down, in Eric All and whatnot. So, no excuses to be made there, but it doesn't leave me very inspired. And I think you and I are both kind of in the same boat heading into Columbus, where it's like it's possible, but I'm not sure how we're going to do it.
And another, just one more note to cement the Illinois game. We could argue. I mean, we've had a couple strange games this year where we didn't look all that in sync. But this definitely looked. I mean, I could argue that this was our worst overall performance on the season.
No, it
And
was. It
and
was.
furthermore, this is the first time all year that our coaching staff got outcoached in the second half of a football game. I don't know if you can attest to that at all, but from my standpoint, it kind of looks like Illinois was ready for everything we tried to throw at them offensively in the second half until late in the game. And at the same time, they kind of predicted pretty well what our second half adjustments would be, and they really came out and put some points on the board late in that game. So I would say that it was the first time all year that we were outcoached in the second half.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready. I would go that far, but it's definitely the first time that anyone's even pushed us in the second half. And they
Yeah,
gave up 14, um, 14 points in the third quarter. It's the first time we were down in the second half. Obviously, we were down up until a couple minutes or seconds left on the clock. But yeah, it was a Saturday that we were definitely. I don't know if I should say definitely. We could have been looking past them in a combination of that with all of the injuries. And like I've heard a couple people say it's the byproduct of having, we're not playing Austin P. It's a ninth league game. It's hard to get through, man. It's hard to go undefeated if you're anybody.
yeah.
And Illinois is a good football team. And it's not a team I want to see in November again playing like that. They're probably only going to get better quarterback play, more
Yeah, I mean,
efforts.
we kind of the last couple of weeks we kind of downplayed this game because one, we mentioned last week that we didn't consider it a trap game because they were a good football team. But two,
Mm-hmm.
we did downplay them some, and we were wrong to do so because we should have known better. Everyone brings their A game against Michigan, and Bielema had them ready to go, and they were ready to pull the upset. Now he has his qualms about some perceived slights. I know the one thing that I mean, Loveland probably should have been called on that fourth down call with Gash in the flat because Loveland was definitely blocking well before the pass was caught. So I'll give him that one. But the rest of I thought Michigan had some pretty bad. Uh, there were some missed calls for Michigan where they spotted the ball wrong, or or the non-called in the neutral zone on the
Yeah.
aforementioned Andrew Anthony play. But I mean,
Yep.
I don't know if they have that offensive push in the second half if we have Mike Morris, because as we've mentioned several times on this podcast, he's the emotional leader. And when other offenses start to get drives going, he's the one that starts to get pissed and the players start to rally around his violent play. And I think we definitely missed that on Saturday, and we really, really, really need it this upcoming Saturday. And we just need to be healthy in general. I know that a lot of the injuries that we held out were probably what sounds like they were just precautionary to for this game, but we won't really know until 15 minutes before game time on Saturday.
So looking forward to next week. It's really not even worth discussing the injuries because, like you just said, we're not going to have any idea. As far as Blake goes, on Sunday he was out handing out turkeys. Jim said there's no structural damage. There's no reason not to believe him. It looked like Blake had maybe a little bit of a hitch in his gait, walking around doing his community thing in Ypsilanti on Sunday. Salute to him for doing that. But yeah, and it sounds like Don Ed is precautionary, and everyone that was held out for us that's not out for the year is a precautionary thing, which kind of points to like, okay, maybe let's not hold guys out for games 2 weeks away when we're in danger of losing this game in front of us right here. But Ohio State also has injuries. Jackson Smith and Jigba, who came into the year as the top receiver in the country, he doesn't even have 10 catches on the year. He's basically been out all year, even though Marvin Harrison Jr. is a better receiver than him. But Travion Henderson was in a boot. Their starting running back was in a walking boot at the end of the Maryland game. Their backup running back, who's kind of their 1-2 punch with Mayan Williams, he didn't play for the third time in the last 5 or 6 weeks. So similar situation there. The only difference was their third string running back is a 5-star and ours is a 4-star, and there was a clear difference there when our backups came in versus theirs. Their third string running back came in and ran for 145 yards. So as far as the injuries go, like you said, we're not going to know, and it really shouldn't come down to that. If I'm going to be a stubborn coach about it, like we're going to find out what we're made of. Ohio State showed they have more depth on Saturday. They'll have to show it again on Saturday, this next Saturday, and Michigan will have to do the same.
Yeah, and I mean, I will. There was, um, I mean, obviously, you never know what's going on with 21-year-olds, but NHG sent out a tweet with the blessed emoji.
Yeah, beyond
Um,
blessed, he said.
so who knows if that means he's finally going to play this upcoming Saturday. I'd imagine even if he did play, which I'm not expecting because I haven't seen it all year. Um, I'm not expecting him to play, but if he does play, I imagine he'd be on a snap count because there's no way he's conditioned to go for an entire game, especially one of the emotional aptitude that this game is going to entail.
Yeah, so Michigan is going to have to what they're going to need to do to win on Saturday is control the line of scrimmage in the same manner that we did last year. In addition to being able to put points on the board, finish drives, and kick a field goal in the game last year. No field goals. Jake Moody, salute to Jake Moody, pride of Northville, who's the all-time field goal record leader in Michigan history and is arguably the greatest kicker in Michigan history now. But didn't kick a field goal against them last year, and we're likely going to have, I mean, I shouldn't say likely, we're going to have to play the same way because Ohio State can score in bunches on a bad day. So the weather's kind of looking like it's not going to be a factor. I checked it this morning. It's calling for like 50 degrees and like a 35% chance of rain. So it's not going to be this cold slobber knocker that we've kind of envisioned the last couple weeks. You're just going to have to bring it, man. 2-11-0 teams. It's all going to, everything is on the table. I was texting you the other day. It's surreal that like every single thing is in front of both of these teams. And one of them is likely going to go home Saturday without it.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'll say against that is that I think it's very likely that there's a scenario where if Michigan does pull off the upset and USC loses, I could see them putting in Ohio State in the playoff because of the Notre Dame game on the schedule. But I will say, as I said many times on the podcast previous to this one, is that Michigan's not going to get the same luxury. I could see them putting in a two-loss SEC team over Michigan and claim it to be because of Michigan's poor schedule, which is no fault of the program other than they canceled the UCLA matchup that was supposed to be on the schedule this year.
Yeah, and
But
everybody
yeah,
like brings that up like it's something.
I mean, it's, I mean, yeah, my confidence level's not high. Yours has come down significantly from where you were a couple weeks ago. Because I know for a couple weeks there, I know that you were emphatic that we were the better team. Um, just because of our physical nature and them not showing that physical ability.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just it's gonna be a dogfight. I don't I want us to win badly, more than I wanted it last year when we were on a 10-game losing streak to them or 9-game losing streak to them. But I want this one more because I think a win in this one will silence everyone that claimed last year was a fluke and all that complete and utter nonsense about Ohio players had the flu. And
Snow, flu, yeah, weather, all this shit, every excuse under the sun.
and so I want this one more just because I kind of think it flips the trajectory of the rivalry a little bit to from Michigan will win one every 10 years. It'll flip to, oh, it's been 3 years since Ohio State's beaten Michigan. And oh, now it's them that has a seed of doubt of can we get the job done? And all of a sudden, Ryan Day is the one that's getting the off-season questions of, is he really the guy that needs to be the head man at Ohio State? So I want this one badly. Unfortunately, I'm not in a place to just from my eyes and what if our passing game was as consistent as it was last year, I'd feel a little more confident going into this game. But just the regression
Absolutely, dude.
but
Absolutely.
the regression we've seen in the passing game the last few weeks just doesn't have me with a good feeling. But it's Michigan, Ohio State. It's the game. Last year, it was one loss team versus one loss team with a chance to the Big Ten championship going to Indy. And this year, it's undefeated. Feels even bigger than it was last year, and I'm gonna be a nervous wreck watching it the whole time. Um, there's gonna be moments of anger. There's gonna be moments of joy. Just my apartment neighbors probably getting mad at me. What the F is this dude yelling about?
Yeah.
I
I'm a
might
wreck too, man.
actually,
Already a wreck.
I might have to go knock on some doors pregame and say, hey, like, don't call the cops on me if I get too loud.
Yeah. It's it's a like you said with the confidence level not really there based on the way we've played the last couple weeks, but the team is not lacking for confidence whatsoever. JJ is living in the moment. He's ready to rock and roll. You saw Jim was just ecstatic after the win last week. The guys are not they're not lacking in confidence, and that's really all that matters because you and I can't do shit to affect the outcome of this game as much as we would want to. So, yeah, man, it's going to be a
Yeah,
bloodbath. We got 11-0
and
versus 11-0 for the second time ever, and for the second time in the last 15, 16 years. It's going to be unbelievable, man. I really hope so.
yeah, I think the players will have this mentality, but they've got to know that almost nobody nationally is going to pick them to beat Ohio State this weekend. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, we're
everyone's
right
been
back to
saying,
there.
I mean, it really is.
And the line is, as of right now, I think it's like 8.5. It's going as high as 10, which I was
Yeah,
thinking more along the lines of like 4.5, 5.5, but whatever.
it opened at 7.5. I was shocked. I was like, y'all at 7.5? Like, okay. And maybe that's because of our struggles offensively the past few weeks. But
Yeah, I think it
um
started at the beginning of the year. They were like 2 touchdown favorites.
and for any random Spartan that's watching this podcast, if you even think of getting in my mentions this weekend, I will absolutely annihilate you.
Yeah, it goes without being said. They little brother, they're irrelevant. But yeah, man, go blue. I don't really have anything else to add. I just wish it was already Saturday and we could get this over with because I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, Indianapolis awaits the winner
Yes, sir.
and what will likely be a Big Ten champion. I mean, this is the Big Ten championship as far as I'm concerned.
This is the Big Ten championship. Whoever wins here is going to beat whoever they face on the other side, and until they realign or something, that's the way it's going to be, honestly. So,
Yeah.
all right, man. Catch us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Patreon. Anything that you are on, you can find us at the 425. Jeremy and I are both pretty active on Twitter if you want to follow us over there. Appreciate y'all's time. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit share, do what you got to do to get this in somebody else's world. And appreciate all the time from everybody. And go blue.
Go blue.
Later, guys.
But that's how I am.